Hey guys, Great Pernix Thief here. Today is part 1 of my dragon species guide. Now, the first type of dragon is green dragons. There are two variants of them, and I'm going to show you the more risky one first, so this part of the video will be only one take, barely any editing, because again, it's in the wilderness and I don't want to reshoot this 3 more times. I've already shot it twice. Now, you're going to want some form of fast escape because this is the wilderness. Other players will attack you. The only safe place to kill these dragons in the wilderness is the Chaos Tunnels, and that's assuming you don't die trying to get to them. Oh, please do not lag. Now, they're actually located not too far into the wilderness. They're just enough out that you can leave at any given time. So first you're going to need to find the Chaos Warriors Fortress. Shouldn't be too hard. It's not that. Here it is. Also, there is a boss in here you can fight if you're wearing full Black Knight armor and have done Summer's End / Spirit of Summer. Summer's End, I think, is the requirement for this one. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. This is the Green Dragon area. Back in the day, bots used to be here all the time. There are dragons farther in the wilderness, but I highly recommend you do not bother them because you cannot teleport out after about level 14 wilderness. This is one of the most dangerous areas to slay other than the Chaos Tunnels, just because the Chaos Tunnels have a very big assortment of enemies down there that will proceed to tear your face off. Now, I'm getting out of here before someone decides to put an end to me. Which also brings us to Area 2. Which I will now show you. So first, you're going to need Barbarian training for that. I'll have a guide out on it later, or if you're watching it when that guide is released on how to start Barbarian training, what items you'll need, and things like that, then please ignore that comment. So the easiest ways to get here are through a Games necklace, which is an enchanted sapphire necklace. This is Barbarian Assault you're going to teleport to, or having a Lunar Mage teleport you, or using your own Lunars to teleport here. Otherwise, you can walk from Artie. Now, once you get all the way up here, you'll notice there's a fishing spot. Again, if you're watching this after the release of the other guide, disregard that information. And once you get far enough in Barbarian training, you can enter the Ancient Cavern, which if not, you'll just be taken down to the end of the pool. Make sure you have everything you need before you go in here, because there's only 2 ways out. Technically 3 if you really feel like dying or teleporting, since death is considered a teleportation at times. So it will give you a little message saying you feel mysterious force is guiding you. Also, by the way, as a fair note, water fiends are down here, so if you're looking for a really good learning experience, it's easy. And you'll find brutal green dragons. They're much tougher than their counterparts. Their fire isn't quite as dangerous, I'll say. They're just a little tougher, and they have slightly better drops. And they're much safer to go for, no wilderness to deal with. If you need to leave the Ancient Cavern, you can either teleport, take the aged log out, or there's a fairy ring you can turn on the other side. Now, next area we're heading is Taverly Dungeon. And once we get there, you're going to need to do a short part of Heroes Quest or a mini quest if you haven't done Heroes yet to get a Dusty Key. Also, with any dragon, make sure you have at least anti-fire breath potions, anti-dragon shields, or dragon fire shields. To keep you safe, your prayer also can negate some dragon fire, but it's not nearly as reliable. If you have super dragon fire, then, what can I say, you're God's gift at Herbalor, pretty much. I don't know a lot of people that like to get 85. In that particular skill. So I'm not really going to fight anything in this part of the video, just because I find that blue dragons and green dragons are both A, in the case of green, too dangerous to go after, or B, beneath me in the case of blue. When we get to red and black, then you're definitely going to see me score a few kills. Also, while I'm on the topic, if you have high agility, you don't need to get the Dusty Key. If you have high agility, there's a shortcut you can take right at the beginning that will plop you right smack dab next to the dragon. Just note they are highly populated on all worlds, and if you keep going around the path, you'll eventually hit black dragons. Just watch out for the poison spiders, they're not very friendly. So in my case, I can take the agility shortcut. It takes 80 some agility, get through there in one piece. And here we are. So we have blue dragons, level 74, and baby blue dragons, you'll notice. Baby blue dragon, if you can't slay the adults, baby blue dragons are easier to kill. They only drop baby dragon bones and charms, though, so you won't get any armor or anything else from them. Now, as you've noticed, it's very populated here, either by bots or actual players. It's always populated. Some people also only come here for blue dragon scales, which is a popular money-making guide for some people. They're easy. Most dragons will attack you after a certain level, but if you have high dungeoneering, about 65 I'd say, you can enter the mysterious entrance here to a more private area of blue dragons. Since most high-level dungeoneers will not come after blue dragons simply because their drops aren't nearly as fantastic as black or better. These tend to be rather neglected, so if you're not on World 2, World 2 is the world where everyone is, it seems, then you should have a pretty good time slaying blue dragons. Now, when you're fighting blue dragons, which I'm not going to here again just because I'm doing this mostly in one take out of paranoia of having to do the whole wilderness scene again for the third time. Just note that, like all dragons, they can breathe fire. After an update with EOC, most dragons can actually hit you from a slightly longer range with their fire, making it so that you can't safe spot for the most part. Dragons tend to drop armor, usually corresponding to their level. They'll drop dragon hides, which, depending on the type of dragon, may be more profitable than dragon bones. Otherwise, I know people that will bring pack yak to some places, like black dragons, bank all the hides, and then keep the bones for themselves in their inventory and just bury them. And you know what? That's what I can recommend to do, since for a while I was killing only black dragons for money. I'm not ashamed of that, not exactly too proud to admit it either, that I kind of camped out the dragons for a while. So, blue dragons can be found in 2 places. Technically 3, but that's a weird circumstance that doesn't need to be discussed. They can be found here, and that weird circumstance does include the Daemonheim dungeon. And they can also be found south of Yanel. There's a ogre city, which I'm not going to bother trying to pronounce the name. It will come out wrong. Someone will berate me for it. I don't care. So, you go there. You have to do part of a quest. If I remember correctly, it's Watchtower quest that you need to do, partly, to get in there, or you can go in beforehand. Recommend you do that beforehand. The ogre shamans will be quite a pain in the ass if you don't. And there's a number of black dragons there and some greater demons. I'm sorry, blue dragons. I'm confusing my dragons today. Also, please keep in mind that blue dragons are one of the most popular type of dragon to kill in Runescape. So you may have some trouble finding an open world. Even in this dungeon. I mean, I'm on World 14 right now, and it's usually pretty clear in here, but I come here some days, and there'll be like 30 people vying for the same dragon. Now, I said this was only going to be a 2-part video originally, but I've decided, after all the technical issues I've been having, that I'm going to show the 3rd type of dragon, red dragons. I won't be killing them in this video, just purely for the sake of just getting there, showing you where you need to go. So first we're going to have to head to our favorite little tropical island. If you didn't see where I was taking you, you'll recognize it pretty soon. And the lodestone's actually pretty convenient. Most lodestones are placed kind of out of the way to make teleporting there more efficient. Here, however, for our purposes, that's not the case. There's also a nice little gold mine here. So first you're going to have to pay him right here. Yep, 875 coins. Oh. Sorry about that. My pin came up and I didn't feel like showing the world my pin. So you pay him your 875 coins, he'll say your death will be most glorious. And personally, I just think we should throw him through the door ourselves, see what he thinks. And you'll arrive in a very dragonkin-like dungeon. Now, red dragons are pretty far in. In this dungeon, you can also find 2 metal dragons outside of a resource dungeon, and then a whole bunch of them with anvils in that resource dungeon. And you can also find bronze here, but I really don't count them as a metal dragon. They're basically just a slightly stronger form of black dragon with no hides. This drop. Oop. When you're down here, most things aren't aggressive to me because I'm nearly combat maxed as far as levels go, but if you come in here at lower levels, you're going to quickly find out that most monsters are pretty aggressive down here. This is also where you find fire giants if you need a slayer task done outside of the chaos tunnels. And I highly recommend you do it here because it's much safer. This is a recurring theme in my videos today, if you can guess that safety is more important than loots. Again, you're going to want to wear a sign of life down here. Just makes life easier for everybody. If you take that southern bend right there instead of where I'm going, then you end up at metal dragons. Oh, forgive me, I took a wrong turn. I suppose on the bright side of me getting lost in this place is that it's pretty easy to get lost if you don't come down here very often. Unlike some people which I have talked to that basically camped out here for a good month. Here we go. So there are fire giants on both floors. It really doesn't matter. You're going to need an axe and some decent wood cutting to get into these guys. Another place you can find red dragons is out in the wilderness, pretty far in. I don't recommend you do it because, again, you can't teleport out, and you can find baby red dragons here too. Red dragons are a bit more, how do I say this, hostile than blue dragons, as they're a higher level dragon. And the area for them in here is pretty big, so no need to worry about competition, really. I mean, the wild dogs will probably be the bane of your existence if you're not that high leveled. And red dragons have better drops than blue dragons. Each dragon has progressively better drops, dropping like either the next tier armor, since bronze dragons tend to drop rune and things like that, whereas black tend to drop adamant and rune. Then you'll have well, basic green dragons. They'll just drop only really steel armor. Then you'll move up to black armor and mithril for like red dragons, and then so on and so forth, until you hit monsters like frost dragons. Frost dragons don't really drop armor like their predecessors. That's strange. I wonder what the red thing on the wall is for. Sorry. Red dragons are a pretty decent experience method. Now, since we're in here, I'll give you a tour of the metal dragons. No guarantee they won't just murder me when I enter there, though. If they do, well, then you'll get to see me die for the first time in any of my videos. Oops. Mind your mouse while you're on here, too. That's gotten me killed a few times. Now, before you get to them, there's going to be black demons. They shouldn't be aggressive to you, but if they are, I'd start running as fast as possible because they can quickly drain your supplies simply just because demons are assholes. Scumbag black demons, that's their name now. So once you get through this vine, this takes the highest level. You're going to want about 55 wood cutting before you come in here. It'll just make your life easier. So first we have bronze dragons. They have their own little area. They are separate from the rest of their metallic cousins. Bronze dragons are the first type of metal dragon to drop draconic visages, which then you can get from black dragon and up. And they drop bronze bars on death, hence their name. In this room you can find iron and steel dragons. These are two of the tougher dragons in Runescape, not toughest. Steel dragons tend to be a little farther in than iron, but you can still see them wandering around. Like, there's a steel dragon. Steel dragons and iron dragons are often trained on here in the resource dungeon, which does take high dungeoneering to enter. I'll enter right now, just to give you a little show. Once you're in here, there are anvils. What many players I know will do is they will kill the dragons, then take the bars they get off their corpses, and use the anvils to make darts and train their smithing, which allows them to train combat and smithing at the same time. It's not the best experience in the world, but hey, You get a stackable profit, and you get some experience out of it. And then there's plenty of dragons. You're going to notice also that all these dragon types, with exceptions, are in the Chaos Tunnels, but the Chaos Tunnels are pretty dangerous. I will be doing a future video on the Chaos Tunnels in general, the safe way to get in, what to look out for, some recommended stats, things like that, but nothing too complicated. So you can also find iron and steel dragons in the Ancient Cavern. The Slayer Master there has her own little private dungeon. If you get assigned these or many other types of enemy, you can go into that dungeon for a little bit better drop rates. You can get ferocious rings, and it's conveniently located right off of Barbarian Assault, so you can easily get there as long as the Mithril Dragons don't get you first. Thank you for watching my video. Next week, we'll be going over the rest of the dragon species. Next week's video will feature the Black Dragons and Mithril Dragons. And then after that, the next video and final video in this little series of mine will include Frost Dragons, Celestial Dragons, and then the King and Queen Black Dragon. Most likely. Queen Black Dragon might be negotiable since I'm not very good at her. Thank you for watching. Please tune in next time for Dragon Species Part 2.